Hi, and welcome to this edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health. Our mission here at Fresh Hope for Mental Health is to empower you to live well in spite of your mental health challenge by sharing insights through interviews, practical tools for living well, encouragement, and courage for overcoming all from a Christian perspective. And now, here's your host, Pastor Brad Hoefs.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to this edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health. I'm Brad Hoefs, your host. Our purpose here on Fresh Hope for Mental Health is to empower you to live a faith-filled, rich, and full life in spite of having a mental health diagnosis or in spite of living with someone who has a mental health diagnosis. Well, my friends, at the time I'm recording this podcast, it's early December of 2021. The last couple of years have been difficult years for probably, it's fair to say, the entire world. Mental health needs and emotional stress is as high as it can get, I suspect. Well, I shouldn't say that. It probably could be higher. But the whole situation with the pandemic, with COVID-19, is just difficult to go through. It's changed life in many ways. We know that the mental health needs have risen significantly. Suicide attempts are up, people feeling suicidal, suicide itself is up. More people are depressed and anxious today than ever before, and life probably has changed. I know for a while I thought that certainly, after a couple of months and we get these vaccinations and all of that, life will go back to being normal and we'll all go back to the way it was. And I suspect that's probably not the case. But we can hope and pray. I don't worry about it. I know there's only so much we can do, and then we have to survive. We have to not only survive, but learn how to thrive when things change. Well, so I think that people are going to have harder holidays because of that. I think the holidays can be very difficult for people anyway. Many people feel lonely during the holidays. Sometimes it's because they're grieving the loss of a friend or their loved one, or they might even be grieving the loss that comes about because of divorce or the loss of a job, or maybe they've even moved someplace new and miss their old place, People that have suffered trauma as children or even as adults. And if that trauma happened around this time of the year, it just makes it very difficult. And if children were abused by a certain family member, many times at this time of the year is when the family got together. And you've certainly heard of the book, The Body Remembers. And sometimes we don't even think of the anniversary dates of certain things and certain memories, and yet our bodies remember. So I thought today I would simply talk with you about not just surviving the holidays, but quietly flowing through the holidays, if you will, quietly just going through them and enjoying what you can, and finding stillness and calmness, even amongst maybe the loneliness that you feel or the depression or other things that you might be experiencing. And I also want to talk with you who are listening who maybe aren't having a difficult Christmas, but someone you love is. How do you support them? How do you help them? And so let's start there. How to support others. First of all, the power of listening. Just listen. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes that's all that's needed. Ask them what's going on. Ask them to tell you about it and why it's difficult. Ask them what the hardest part is. Allow them to speak and listen carefully. Just share with them empathy. Just be their friend. And don't try to fix it. Don't try to say, well, you should feel this way, or you should do this, or you should do that. No, just listen and be there. And you don't always have to say something. Sometimes there is the ministry of simply your presence with them. Take them some food, take them some cookies, take them somewhere, go somewhere with them. You know, when a friend of ours was dying of brain cancer a number of years ago, and he loved to look at the Christmas lights, so I said, well, I purposely spent a lot of time with him and his wife prior to his death. And we set out to go look at Christmas lights. And so what we did is we got some popcorn and some hot chocolate, and we drove around and looked at Christmas lights, and we had Christmas music playing in the car, and we talked. Something like that with a friend who's having a difficult time with Christmas, or just take a drive, cup of hot chocolate, or just go be with them, sit with them, or help them do something that's maybe they're putting off and it's difficult, or this is the first time they're going to do it without their loved one, or whatever. Maybe it's, wrapping presents or even putting up the tree. I know when my wife and when I first collapsed and fell apart in 1995, two ladies from the church, a mom and a daughter, came and they helped us put up our Christmas trees, because I don't know that we would have been able to do it alone, just the two of us. And they came and they helped us. And a whole group of people showed up at our house on Christmas Eve. They knew that life had changed for us permanently, drastic change, big losses. And so they helped us just by being friends. So if Christmas is difficult now for you, and you're the one listening, and you're not a friend, but rather you're the one facing a blue Christmas, a difficult Christmas, I want to offer to you a couple of things to support yourself. First of all, give grace to yourself. If you're feeling lost and you're experiencing some painful emotions and feelings, whether because you're grieving the death of someone that you love, or you're grieving the breakup of your marriage, or you're grieving, issues with children, whatever it might be, allow yourself to not have it all figured out. Allow yourself the opportunity to grieve and give grace to yourself. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay, even at this time of the year. And when you give grace to yourself, be sure and give grace to others. When you're sad, sometimes it's easy to get agitated and irritated and aggravated with other people. And so you just have to give them grace also. And I think what happens is when you give grace to yourself and you start giving it to other people, grace and mercy starts flowing through your veins. And I think a lot of people find healing in that. There's some peace in that comes about. And there's also some spiritual calmness that can take place. So give grace to yourself and give grace to others. The third one might sound a bit strange, but keep your routine. Routine, routine, routine. If you're not working, still get up every morning, shower, clean up, do stuff, have a list of things to do. Keep going. And if you find yourself grieving and wanting to fall apart, sit down, fall apart, do it for 20 minutes, do it for 30, and then tell yourself, I'll come back to this when it hits me again or whatever. But get back up and keep that routine. It doesn't sound easy to do. I don't think it is, but it's extremely important. Keeping a schedule, no matter how difficult the circumstances are, helps you in your recovery and in your healing process from what you're going through. So give grace to yourself, give grace to others, routine, routine, routine. And the fourth one is ask for help. Don't be afraid. If you're finding it difficult to do something that you need to do for the holidays, or if it's something in regards to just getting something done, call a friend and ask them to help you. Call a friend. It's okay. And it's important to ask for help. Many of us who help others all the time are the last ones to ever ask for help. Why don't you do it different this time and be somebody who asks for help before others even know that you need the help? So that's number 4. And the last one is sometimes you have to just start new traditions. Sometimes you just have to do things different. For instance, when we're grieving the loss of a loved one who's lived in our home with us and we've loved carefully and they've been part of our daily lives and we just miss them so much. And there could be traditions that we've done. Sometimes it's good to do those traditions and mourn what we've lost, but some other times it's just important to do some things different and start new traditions. So give grace to yourself, give grace to others, keep your routine, ask for help, and start new traditions. I think these are things that can help you. These are things that can really keep you grounded during the holidays. Loneliness is one of those things, and mourning and grief are those kinds of things where it so easily can set in, and then it can easily become clinical depression if it isn't already. And so it's so important to care for yourself. And I know guys and gals are different, but for instance, I know that my wife loves to take a bubble bath. It relaxes her. Folks, do it. Buy one of those big balls of bubbly stuff that you put in the bathtub and relax, ladies. Or some men like bubble baths. Take a bubble bath. Or go to the gym. Or go out with your friends, do some things that replenish you. And it's okay to watch movies that might make you laugh. It's important to cry, yes. It's important to mourn, it's important to grieve, but it's also important to not only just do that. It's important to keep going. Well, my friends, there you have it. Surviving and thriving or flowing through Christmas. And this has been another edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health. I hope it's helpful to you. I really enjoy hearing from you. I really do. I read each and every email myself. I answer most of them. So if email me with your comments, your ideas, your questions, topics that you'd like to be that you'd like heard and covered on this podcast. You can email me at pastorbrad@freshhope.us. Again, pastorbrad@freshhope.us. Trust me, I really do read them. And if you've ever emailed me and you didn't get an answer, it's probably because I didn't see the email or didn't get it. But that chances are, if you've emailed me, I'm going to answer it, and I'm going to really consider what you're talking about and take time for it. If you'd like to connect with us, we're on social media, Twitter, Facebook. a little bit on Pinterest, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. You can find podcasts on there, but you can also find some of our videos. We have all kinds of groups. We have groups that meet online. We have groups that meet in person. You can find that on our Fresh Hope Network, and that's at the freshhope.us website. And you can find groups to go to. You can see the kinds of groups we have. We offer trauma healing. We have groups for pastors. We've expanded a lot for teenagers, all kinds of groups, and even for widows who are grieving and helping refocus widows. So would you mind doing me a favor, if you've listened to this and it's been helpful, or even if it hasn't been, leave a review on iTunes. That really helps us be found on iTunes and other places. We also have a new book out that's called Holding to Hope, Loving Someone in Spite of, Holding to Hope, Staying Sane While Loving Someone with a Mental Illness. And so I'd like to encourage you to pick up on that. Join our Fresh Hope Network. It's a way that people can connect in a secure environment, because many times the things that you might want to talk about are not the kinds of things that you'd like out on Facebook and everybody knowing maybe that you're struggling or that your loved one is. But in the Fresh Hope Network, you can join it on the freshhope.us website, and it'll be something that's very helpful to you, I believe. So be sure and tell your friends about the program, and may Christmas be what it needs to be for you. Jesus came because we are broken. He came because of our tears. He came because we do have hurt and pain in our lives. And that's why he came. And while they may say it's the most wonderful time of the year, it can be the most painful sometimes too. And so I hope this has been a podcast that helps you. And until the next time, may the Lord fill you with his hope, fresh, new, daily. I'm Brad Hoefs, and this has been another edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health.
You've been listening to Fresh Hope for Mental Health. If you have an opportunity, please review, share, and subscribe to the Fresh Hope for Mental Health podcast on iTunes or on the service that you use. We encourage you to share our podcast on social media with your friends and family. Previous podcasts of Fresh Hope for Mental Health can be found at freshhopeformentalhealth.com, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Fresh Hope is one of the leading networks of faith-based peer support groups internationally. For more information about Fresh Hope, go to freshhope.us.